إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها، وكل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. وما قل وكفى خير مما كثر وألهى، وإنما توعدون لآت وما أنتم بمعجزين. ثم أما بعد. As such, the Messenger ﷺ used to open his khutbah. We commence by testifying to the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. We ask him, mighty and exalted, to shower his mercy and blessings on our teacher, our messenger, our leader Muhammad ﷺ, and his family, his companions, and those who follow and aspire to follow in their footsteps to the day of judgment. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make all of us gathered here this afternoon amongst them. Ameen. Messenger ﷺ is quoted to have said that this is a blessed day, the day of Jummah. There in it an allocation of time and hour that no slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he or she, raises their hands except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala replies to them and responds to them, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them and grants them and blesses them. We ask him to make us amongst the people of such an hour. Ameen. Brothers and listening sisters, it is a ni'mah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be granted life and time to witness this day in his house. We ask him many returns, and we ask him never to deprive us. Ameen. Brothers and listening sisters, last Friday we spoke about a very important topic, a very important subject, a subject that literally defined this religion of Islam, which is the generation of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This Jum'ah, inshallah, I hope that we can maybe continue this topic. And I quoted previously Imam Ghazali talking about this amazing generation that the Prophet ﷺ was successful in raising for mankind to uplift humanity and to really deliver it quite literally from darkness to light. Imam Ghazali mentions here ذلك الجيل الفريد الذي اكتحلت به عين الدنيا ولا يتشابه معه أي جيل آخر أو أي أتباع آخرين لأي نبي أو رسول. It's this unique generation of the companions that the world have seen no equal to, that no followers or disciples have seen or have been assigned to any other prophet or messenger. That captures perhaps a very powerful statement by the Imam that captures the essence of this amazing generation. And the Prophet ﷺ challenged this generation to change their perspectives, their worldview, their understanding of life. He answered their existential questions, and he told them where they came from and what their job in this life to do or is, and how to live life on purpose, live life for a cause, and if they do so, what is going to happen for them in the other world, in the afterworld, in the hereafter. He also asked them to earn their seats. He also asked them to exert the effort. He also asked them to bring something to the table to contribute to the religion of Islam, to the call of Islam, to the message of Islam. And all of us are invited to do the same. All of us have the same opportunity. All of us have the same chance to really affect change and to really be a community of impact. That's what we try to do here in this community. Last time I shared with you a glimpse of, the life and time of one of the companions, where he told the Prophet ﷺ that I ask for companionship of you in the hereafter. Then the Prophet ﷺ told them, then make sure that you show me plenty of sujood. Make sure that you bring to the table to earn it make sure that you come with an abundance of salah and a'mal. It's not only, indicative of salah, as important as salah is, but it transcends that to the a'mal, to the deeds, to really bringing actions in your scale of good deeds. I wanted to maybe share with you another example, not necessarily a life and time or a biography of a specific like companion or a sahabi of the messenger, but I opted this time to share with you an encounter. I opted this time to share with you a situation or an interaction rather between two of the companions. I think this situation here really shows the essence of the doctrine of Muhammad ﷺ and the school of Islam and the curriculum of the message. It really captures the essence of the very success story of the Prophet ﷺ, how he was able to change these quite ordinary folks to be giant figures, to be people of change and impact, to be people who really literally changed the world, as the Imam also mentions in his book, in 23 years. Here is an interaction that happened actually after the passing of the messenger. So here is another success story that the Messenger ﷺ was successful during his lifetime, but he was successful enough, and his doctrine and his school was compelling enough, and his principles throughout Quran and Sunnah are compelling enough that it really was able to trickle down beyond his short, limited, life and time, and to go from one generation to another, until it reached us. This is maybe, give or take, 15, 16, 17 years of Hijrah, give or take. So we're talking the Messenger ﷺ passed, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. And, during that time, and this interaction took place between a woman, a companion, a female companion by the name of Khawla, and none other than Umar ibn al-Khattab, the boss of the bosses, the man who was in charge, the Amir al-Mu'mineen. So this lady, as you know, Umar was a very intimidating to some folks figure. He carried a lot of awe and respect and presence. And that was the Messenger ﷺ himself told him this. So as he was passing through the streets of Medina, he gave salam to, this woman he was passing by, and then she told him, "Ihin ya ibn al-Khattab, O son of al-Khattab, كنت تدعى عميرا في الجاهلية تصارع الصبية في سوق عكاظ." That you used to be called Little Umar when you used to wrestle these boys in the market of Aqad back in Mecca. ثم قيل عمر, and then you became Umar, one of the companions and so on. ثم قيل أمير المؤمنين, and then it was said the leader of the believers. You got the actual title. اتق الله, fear Allah. فمن أيقن بالموت خاف الفوت ومن أيقن بالحساب خاف العقاب. Fear Allah, O Umar ibn al-Khattab. You have this seat of power and influence and decision-making authority. Fear Allah. Remember that the person who is mindful and fearful and conscious of death is fearful of not being able to live to account, not being able to really, be judged as they would wish to be judged. وَمَنْ أَيْقَنَ بِالْحِسَابِ خَافَ الْعِقَابِ. And a person who has certitude, has no doubt that they're going to be held accountable, then they know that they are fearful of the punishment, that they are conscious that because they are going to be questioned, and if they don't bring the right answer, they may be punished. Remember those two things, or remember these two things. And then she told them, as she was much, much older, this is, a very old woman, a companion of the Messenger ﷺ, Khawla bin Hakim, has like a different, family names or whatever, but her name was Khawla. And then she said, Ya Umar attaqillah. The person, part of the detail with Umar ibn al-Khattab, one of his lieutenants, he said, لَقَدْ أَثْقَلْتِ عَلَى أَمِيرِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. You have crossed the line with the leader of the believers. Don't you know who you're speaking to? And then he told them, فَاصْمُتْ, be quiet. لو استوقفتني طوال النهار لوقفت لها إلا عن الصلاة المكتوبة. If she makes me stand here all day long, I would stand, except for the prescribed salah. ألا تعلم, don't you know who this woman is? This is the woman that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has listened to her complaint with the Messenger ﷺ when she went to his house complaining about her husbands from above the seventh heaven. This is the woman that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Quran Surah Mujadala. So, فَأَلَا يَسْتَمِعُ لَهَا عُمَرْ. Who's Umar not to listen to? Allah listened to her and listen to the words that she's sharing with him. This is one very, very overwhelming encounter here. Look at the bravery of this woman. Look at the zeal and the vigor and the delivery. She was much older at the time. This is the one who suggested for the Prophet ﷺ to get married to Aisha, and who actually conveyed the request to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. This is the woman that the many, many thousands of hadith related by Aisha radiallahu anha, that school of Aisha, is that she takes share on. So she did a great favor for this ummah. As she is departing in her much, much later time of her life, maybe in her 70s, 80s, and so on, she was giving him this departing advice. Fear Allah. Remember that Allah has a right upon you. Don't forget where you came from. Don't let this position deceive you. Remember that there's going to be a day of reckoning. Remember that you're going to be questioned. You better prepare an answer, and so on. So this is an amazing encounter for two reasons. One, on one side, we see that, mashallah, tabarakallah, this amazing woman with a person who only fears Allah. And this is the very essence of Islam. La ilaha illallah. You intimidated by no man, by no figure, by no creation, by no other human being, by nobody in the seat, by President X or whatever, people of power and authority. You are fearful of Allah and not intimidated by another man. This is the essence of the message of Islam. Two, she is telling him that there are rights of people over him. That also accountability is part and parcel of Islam. That no one is above questioning. Everyone must answer. Everyone must be held accountable. Everyone must be able to speak to the trust that has been placed in their hands, and so on. The issue of accountability, very important. On the other side, we see Umar ibn al-Khattab, the numerous contributions of Umar ibn al-Khattab, the many testimonies by the Messenger ﷺ, a person that the Messenger departed this life and closed his eyes for the last time, being pleased with him. I mean, what an amazing, amazing honor. What an amazing dignity. What an amazing position. Forget the title or anything. The Prophet was pleased with him. He could be full of himself. He could say, well, why do I have to sit and listen to this? I have much better and much more important things to do. My time is very limited. I need to worry about what's happening in Iraq, what's happening in Syria, what's happening in Egypt, what's happening in Yemen, what's happening. He could be that kind of person, but he humbles himself, which is another essence of the message of Muhammad ﷺ and the very essence of the teachings of Quran. The foundational principles in Quran is to avoid this grave sin of kibr, the person who is full of themselves, of arrogance and stuff. And this is the ultimate sin that the shaitan fell into. Warned against it throughout Surah Al-Baqarah and throughout the whole entire Quran. He humbles himself. He understands who affected this change? The Messenger ﷺ, who is able to raise this very powerful generation with amazing characteristics, with amazing principles, with people who not talk the talk, they walk the walk. They're able to bring life to the very words of Quran. They're able to embody the prophetic principles and the school of Muhammad ﷺ and the doctrine of Islam. They're able to live up to these ideals and principles in actions. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَقُلْ اعْمَلُوا آلَ دَاوُودَ شُكْرًا. Don't give me lip service in terms of thank you this and thank you that. No, show your gratitude and show your conviction in action. So with this, inshallah, I tried to just give you a glimpse of this amazing generation that the Prophet ﷺ was able to raise for mankind. And this is our amana, that we need to raise a generation that follows in their footsteps, a generation hopefully of liberation for the lands of Palestine and the lands of the Muslimin. أقول ما تسمعون وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فاستغفروه يا فوز المستغفرين. الحمد لله وكفى وصلاة وسلاما على عباده الذين اصطفى خصوصا على أفضلهم أجمعين محمد الأمين وعلى الصحب الغر الميامين وعلى التابعين وتابعين بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. O gathering Muslims, O slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah mighty and exalted in His angelic realm, commanding the believing men and women to send peace and salutations upon the Messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم. فيقول عز من قائل إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على هذا النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. The generation of liberation is what we dream about, what we aspire for, what we work, exert, and labor and struggle for. And this is really the very essence of what we do here. The reason that you're looking at this, carpet sponsorship, the reason that we're building this building next door, the reason that inshallah we'll extend this building to this building and bridge in between, and you have Bidni Rahman 24,000 square feet. The reason that we're doing all these things, why? For one single reason, is that we have a commitment, we have a pledge, we have an obligation to really raise a generation of God-fearing men and women, Muslim men and women, who really transform the call of Islam in this country, who really will be able to articulate the principles and the ideals of what Islam is about, the message of Islam, who are able to really live in the footsteps of the Messenger ﷺ and portray a prophetic example, try to do so. This is the reason we're doing all these things. It's your obligation as the head of your household to forge a partnership with this Islamic center, with Islamic centers everywhere, the Muslim family and the Muslim community center. This is our own survival. We have to be able to raise this generation, a generation that's proud of its identity, Islamic identity, reconciles this with the fact that they are citizens of this country, and they have an obligation to make it better, to make their neighborhoods better, to make their communities better, and so on, but not at the expense of the message of Islam, not in oblivious, understanding of what Islam calls them for, and at the same time be active contributors to their communities, to be active contributors to their Muslim brothers and sisters, to their lives and so on. This is really what we're trying to do in a nutshell, and we're hoping inshallah that you buy into this vision. This is a vision. This is what we are commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do, to live life on purpose, to live life for a cause. There is no better purpose than the purpose of Islam, and there is no better cause than the cause of the Messenger ﷺ, the message of Islam. Everyone, inshallah, is invited to do so. You have an obligation to raise this generation in your own kids, in your household, and we collectively as a community has this obligation, inshallah, to introduce our kids, our youth, to these examples and to challenge them to earn it, just like the Messenger ﷺ challenged his generation to earn it, to bring a'mal and good deeds, inshallah, to tread in their footsteps and to meet them and to dwell with them on the Day of Judgment in the highest levels of Jannah. Nothing should be better than this. This is, inshallah, our dua, our aspiration, our hope, our dhann, our opinion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that if we have a sound intention and we bring inshallah an exertion of effort, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant us this wish and this desire of ours, inshallah. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala benefit with these words. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it heavy in our scale of good deeds. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the tawfiq and the success to implement these words in our lifetime. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to gather us with the generation of the Messenger ﷺ on the Day of Judgment. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us a drink from His blessed hand, after which we shall never experience thirst again. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to aid and relieve our brothers and sisters in Gaza, aid and relieve our brothers and sisters throughout the entire world. Those who are oppressed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will deliver them from oppression. Those who are sick, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cure their sickness. Those who are imprisoned, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala liberate them and free them from their prison. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the best in this life and the best of the hereafter. O gathering Muslims, O slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inna Allah ya'muru bil adli wal ihsani wa ita'i dhil qurba wa yanha 'anil fahsha'i wal munkari wal baghi ya'idukum la'allakum tadhakkarun wa aqimis salah.